Once upon a time, there was a small bird named Pip. Pip lived in a big, tall tree in a beautiful forest. He had bright blue feathers that shone in the sun. Pip was very small, but he was happy and full of life. Pip had two best friends in the forest. One was Ben, a friendly rabbit who loved to hop around, and the other was Nib, a squirrel who liked to climb trees and find nuts. One day, dark clouds began to gather in the sky. The wind started to blow, and Pip knew that a storm was coming. He felt a little scared, but he wanted to warn his friends. Pip flew to Ben's burrow. "Ben, there's a big storm coming. You should hide inside your burrow to stay safe," Pip said. Ben nodded and quickly went inside to stay safe. Next, Pip flew to Nib's tree. "Nib, there's a storm coming. You should hide in your tree hole," Pip told him. Nib smiled and hurried into his small, cozy home inside the tree. Now that his friends were safe, Pip needed to find a safe place for himself. The wind was getting stronger, and it was hard for him to fly, but Pip didn't give up. The rain began to fall, and Pip knew he had to hurry. He looked around and saw a small cave in a nearby hill. It looked safe, so he flew towards it as fast as he could. Pip reached the cave just in time. He was wet and tired, but he was safe from the storm. Inside, the cave was dry and warm. Pip made a small bed out of soft leaves to rest. Outside, the storm was getting stronger. The wind howled, and the rain poured down. Pip could hear the thunder, but he stayed calm and brave inside his safe cave. As the storm raged outside, Pip thought about his friends. He hoped that Ben and Nib were safe in their homes. Pip felt good knowing that he had warned them. The storm lasted all night. Pip stayed in the cave, resting and waiting for the storm to pass. He knew the storm wouldn't last forever, and soon the sun would come out again. The next morning, the storm was over. The sky was clear, and the sun was shining brightly. Pip was happy to see the sunshine again and was ready to go home. Pip flew out of the cave and into the fresh air. The forest looked beautiful after the rain. The trees were wet, and the flowers were shining with water droplets. Pip flew to Ben's burrow to check on him. "Ben, are you okay?" Pip asked. Ben came out of his burrow with a big smile. "Yes, Pip, I'm fine, thanks to you." Next, Pip flew to Nib's tree. "Nib, are you okay?" Pip called. Nib came out of his tree hole and smiled. "I'm okay, Pip, thank you for warning me about the storm." Pip felt proud of himself. Even though he was small, he had helped his friends. He was brave and cared about them. Ben and Nib were lucky to have Pip as a friend. To thank Pip, Ben and Nib decided to throw a small party by the river. They gathered some berries, nuts, and honey for a picnic. Pip was very happy to join them. At the party, they all ate and laughed. The sun was warm, and the forest was peaceful again. Pip enjoyed his favorite food, sweet berries. It was a perfect day. While they ate, Nib said, "Pip, you're the bravest bird in the forest." Ben nodded and said, "Yes, Pip, we are so lucky to have you as our friend." Pip smiled. He didn't feel very brave all the time, but he knew that he had done the right thing by helping his friends. Being brave means helping others, even when you're scared. After the picnic, they decided to play a game. Ben suggested a game of hide and seek. Pip was excited because he was very good at hiding in the trees. Nib searched high and low, but he couldn't find Pip. Ben laughed and said, Pip is the best at hiding." Finally, Pip flew down and surprised them both. Nib searched high and low, but he couldn't find Pip. Ben laughed and said, "Pip is the best at hiding." Finally, Pip flew down and surprised them both. They all laughed and played together until the sun began to set. The sky turned orange and pink, and it was time for everyone to go home. "Thank you for the party," Pip said happily. "I had so much fun." Ben and Nib smiled and waved goodbye as Pip flew back to his tree. As Pip flew home, the forest became quiet. The birds were singing softly, and the air was cool and fresh. It had been a long day, but Pip was happy and calm. Pip landed on his favorite branch in the tall tree. He looked out at the forest and felt proud. He had been brave, and he had helped his friends. It was a good day. Before going to sleep, Pip sang a soft, sweet song. His song filled the air, and all the other animals listened. Pip's voice was beautiful and calming. As Pip closed his eyes, he thought about the storm. He had been scared, but he had stayed brave. He was a small bird, but he had done big things. Pip fell asleep with a smile on his face. He dreamed of new adventures with his friends. He knew that no matter what happened, he would always be brave.